Ever feel like you could just step right into a history book?
Like, become part of the story.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hold on to your hats, folks, because today's deep dive is about as close as it gets.
We're talking about visitor book entries.
Not just any entries, though.
Right. We're diving deep into the ones left at Ammunition Hill in Jerusalem.
Talk about a place packed with history.
And these entries, let me tell you, they're more than just quick notes after a visit.
They're like these little windows into how people wrestle with these big, complex ideas.
Identity, history, even protest.
All through the lens of this one incredibly significant place.
And for those of us who might not be totally familiar, could you give us a little background on Ammunition Hill itself?
Absolutely. So Ammunition Hill, it's this memorial site.
Commemorating.
Yeah, commemorating a really key battle in the 1967 Six-Day War.
A moment that's, like, completely woven into Israel's narrative.
Totally. It's seen as this huge victory.
But here's the thing that I find fascinating. It wasn't even built by the government.
Right. It was the families of the soldiers who fought there.
Wow.
Funded by ordinary people, donations,
That's incredible.
Tells you something about how deeply, personally, people connect to this story.
Absolutely. So you've got this space practically built on deeply held narratives.
And then you go there and you get this tangible sense of history.
You're talking about the actual trenches, the bunker.
Exactly. And then there's the museum, all designed to put you right there in the moment.
What really stood out to me when I was researching for this deep dive was the sheer variety of people who visit Ammunition Hill.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You've got Israeli families, school kids on field trips.
Right, and then you have Jewish tourists from all over the world.
And don't forget the people who live right nearby in East Jerusalem.
For them, it's like part of their daily landscape.
And that's what I find so fascinating about analyzing these visitor book entries.
Totally.
It's like this incredibly diverse group of people all encountering the same site.
Each with their own unique background, their own perspective.
But here's the thing that really got me thinking.
What's that?
You hardly see any entries from older Israelis.
Yeah.
The more established generations.
Interesting. Right.
And mostly younger generations writing. Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
It really does.
Like, what does this site mean to different generations? Is it less relevant to them? Do they feel differently about the narrative? We are definitely going to unpack that later on in the show.
Definitely.
But for now, I want to zero in on something that pretty much every visitor interacts with.
You mean?
The visitor book itself.
Ah, yes.
And as our research showed, this is not your grandma's guest book.
Not even close.
So paint us a picture. What's it like to actually stand before this book?
Okay, so picture this. You've got this massive, heavy book bound in dark metal.
Heavy.
Oh, yeah. Like you could hurt someone with this thing.
Wow.
And every single page, it's embossed.
Yeah.
Israeli and IDF symbols. It's not just a book, it's a statement piece. The whole thing is designed to feel almost sacred. You're not just scribbling a note, you're participating in something much bigger.
You weren't kidding about a statement piece. I mean, it's not just the book itself, right?
Oh, no, not at all.
It's the whole setting.
Exactly.
From what I understand, it's placed in this dimly lit room.
Very dramatic.
Right near a wall of remembrance, actually, with all the names of the soldiers.
Ones who died in the battle.
And there's an eternal flame flickering nearby. The whole thing just screams ceremonial.
Almost like a church,
Yeah, exactly.
And, that seems to be very intentional.
You think so?
Oh, I'd say so. By putting this imposing book in such a charged environment, it's like they're encouraging visitors to see writing in it as this very weighty act.
You're not just signing your name at the end of your trip to Disneyland?
Not at all. It's more than just jotting down thoughts. It becomes this act of participation.
In the site's narrative.
Exactly.
You're not just a visitor anymore. You become part of the story. And when we actually looked at the content, what people are writing, we saw how many people really embrace that.
It's true.
I mean, so many of the entries echo this core message of Ammunition Hill.
Right. You see a lot of what you might call the standard expressions of gratitude and, commemoration.
Like what are some examples?
Well, there's this one. Thanks to the brave fallen soldiers, we are able to be here in Jerusalem and now our children, and we can stand here. These people are holy.
Wow.
Signed, the Meron family.
Powerful.
Very formal, very respectful, using the kind of language you often hear at, official commemorations and things.
Oh, it's like they're drawing from this shared script, in a way.
It's true, but it's more than just mimicking, though, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, it's like they're tapping into this collective memory,
Right.
drawing on these phrases that hold so much meaning within Israeli society.
Well, that's true.
And by writing them down, the visitors, they're reinforcing that narrative, you know?
Right, right.
Becoming part of something bigger than themselves.
Totally, totally. And then there are the entries that, while they're still honoring the sacrifice of the soldiers, they have this completely different tone.
Oh, absolutely.
Much more personal, like intimate almost.
Yes, yes.
Like this one's signed Hadar Levi. She writes, "To the IDF soldiers, I really, really appreciate your actions for this country and hope that you will continue to be like this. Many, happy, nice, and alive. Success and health until," and then there's this little drawing of a heart, 120.
Oh.
Big love, the bomb.
I love that one.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That one really jumped out at me, too. It's like she's talking directly to them.
I know, as if they could, hear her.
Right.
Which is just so poignant when you think about it.
Totally. You don't really see that level of, direct address in these kinds of entries.
You don't. And the language is so interesting, too.
Big love. The heart.
It's almost flirty.
Right. Which feels kind of unexpected given where it's written.
It does, but I think it reveals this completely different way of, connecting with the past.
Totally, totally. And you know what I find really interesting, though? Is that not every entry is about conforming to a narrative.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Even a personal one.
Right.
I mean, some visitors, they use the book to directly challenge what Ammunition Hill represents.
Yes, they do.
It's like they're taking those blank pages, and instead of just going along with it.
With the flow.
Yeah. They're using it to make a statement.
A statement, definitely.
Like one entry we found just reads, "This is not our power."
Oh, wow.
Signed only Gush Katif.
Okay, so to fully appreciate that one, we really need to understand the context.
Okay, hit me with it.
So Gush Katif, this was a group of Israeli settlements in the Gaza Strip.
Okay.
And back in 2005, they were forcibly evacuated.
Forcibly.
Yeah, it was a whole big thing. Caused huge controversy within Israel. Oh, yeah, lots of debate, lots of division.
Wow.
So by invoking that event right there at Ammunition Hill.
Yeah, at Ammunition Hill.
Yeah. It's like this person's directly linking it to a very, very different narrative.
Not just straight up victory.
Exactly. This is about loss, displacement, challenging the whole idea that military might is the only way to be strong.
Right, right.
It's like a reminder that even within the same society, you can have very, very different interpretations of history.
Of what a triumph actually means.
That's right.
It really makes you think about how much weight a single sentence in a visitor book can carry.
It's true.
And then some entries, they go even further than that.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like there's this one that honestly, it stopped me in my tracks when I first saw it.
Okay.
It just says, "Beaton's was here."
Beaton was here.
Over and over and over again. Huge letters, almost like graffiti.
Wow. That's like a whole different level.
Right.
It's like this Wheaton, whoever they are.
Right. You don't even know.
Exactly. They're making a statement.
Totally.
That sheer size, the repetition, that's meant to be noticed.
To disrupt.
Exactly.
And the fact that they don't mention anything else. Not the battle, not the soldiers, just Beaton was here.
Yeah. Just their own presence.
Makes you wonder, what are they trying to say?
Right?
Were they even alive during the war?
Maybe it's a claim, you know?
A claim.
Yeah, like they're connected to this place.
Or maybe it's like challenging who gets remembered here.
Exactly.
Wow. It's like these visitor books, for as much as they show us.
They also hide a lot.
They really do.
Yeah.
We see all these voices, but then they're the ones we don't hear at all.
It's true.
Like, where are the entries from the Palestinian residents of Jerusalem? This battle, this site, I mean, it holds a completely different meaning for them.
Totally.
But that perspective, it's just largely absent from this book.
Yeah. And remember how we were talking about the lack of entries from, older, more established Israelis?
Yeah.
It's like there's this kind of disconnect there, too, between them and what this place means for younger generations. It really is. It makes you realize that even these huge national narratives, they can change over time.
They're not set in stone.
Not at all. They're constantly being reshaped, reinterpreted.
Contested.
Exactly. And those visitor book entries, they give us this little glimpse into that whole messy process.
It's like holding up a magnifying glass to a whole society. Seeing all the different experiences, the beliefs, even the disagreements, all playing out on those pages.
In their own words.
So tell me, if you were to visit Ammunition Hill, what would your entry in that big, heavy, metal-bound book say? Would you add your voice to the chorus? Would you challenge the narrative? Or would you find yourself somewhere in between? Something to think about until our next deep dive.